Beach, Derek on QWERPLine? He sure is. Knocking it out of the park every time we sit down. He brings his A game. Oh man, I cannot wait for the next episode to come out.
Oh yeah, no,
so good.
I always really, like, I've seen people in the comments always like, so is that Jer as Richter, and like things like that. Like everyone throws up like a random name, and like there's only 5 of us in the credits.
Lives in Vancouver as well.
It's got to be one of us, and it's Ian does a bang up job.
Superb.
And Richter wrecks us every time.
Oh, he just gives us the gears.
Yeah, we have. Who else is Beach?
Who else is Beach done?
Beach was
Raphael Krinklestoof.
Yep. Krinklestoof.
Ball Hinckley.
Ball Hinckley. Smell like a cat gun.
Yeah. Bus smell like a cat gun.
Oh man. And the poop cauldron guy.
Yeah, that was Raphael Krinklestoof.
Oh, it was Krinklestoof.
And then
this kid says. For the people in the chat who might not know what QWERPLine is,
oh yeah.
do you want to explain potentially not
QWERPLine is a radio play
maybe how it's spelled. QWERPline.
Mm-hmm.
If someone in the chat would be so kind as to link to the videos and all the podcasts, people could listen to them at their leisure.
Or listen to QWERPLine here on QWERPFM. QWERPLine this week is brought to you by Joss Ross's Boss Moss Floss. Delicious candy moss made from all natural sphagnum moss. It's Joss Ross's Boss Moss Floss. Try it with sauce.
You did that so many times. You haven't memorized, didn't you?
He does it.
So, you know what we could do? Like
every time I get together with my friends.
This might be a good end. We can't do a QWERPLine.
No.
But how would you like to talk about how we do QWERPLine?
Can you finish
just
what
real quick.
QWERPLine is?
Yeah,
QWERPLine is a radio show that the guys here from Loading Ready Run produce and put out. And it's set in a fake town called Innsbruck.
In Innsbruck County.
In Innsbruck County.
No, Thurston County.
Thurston County, my apologies.
It's being compared to Welcome to Night Vale, only not like supernatural.
It's just goofy.
Someone in chat called it Welcome to Night Vale by way of UHF.
There you go. I think, you know what, that we'll take it.
Yeah.
We will take it.
That's very strong.
A Happy Gutterson is me, yes.
Yeah. Also Chet Buntsman.
What I really like about now we can get into the how we record it. What I really like about
sorry, everybody's super quiet on the couch. There you go.
What I really enjoy about QWERPLine is the way that we actually do it. That yes, I provide the voice of Richter Hammock's Land, but most of the things we say just come out of the group, riffing with each other and improving each other.
It's fun because we get the question, it's like, is it improv or is it scripted? It's like, it's both.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could do Desert Bus, but on a 2-minute delay, where we got to think about what we're saying and say, okay, yeah, well, this is great. Now let's do it better.
Yeah, so we'll sort of improv, and then if we get something that works, we'll do it again if it needs improvement, or we'll cut it if it sucks. Mm-hmm. It's usually sort of like refinement, and then it's like something
just comes out and it's perfect, and we're done.
Or we do 15 takes with more swearing every time, and then we finally get it, and you just like. That's why someone asked for an uncut full episode. It's like, you don't want that.
It would be.
I really mean it. Like, it's not like we're trying to hold out on you. It's like, you do not want to listen to that. It's awful.
Yeah, it's hard enough coming up with about 15 to 20 minutes worth of usable material, and it takes us just a little bit over an hour to record one entire episode anyway. So you're like, oh, we're losing 45 minutes. It's like, well, really what you'd hear is the same line over and over. You'd hear us screwing that line up 6 or 7 times until we finally deliver it.
Getting actually upset sometimes.
Yeah, and then you'll have like, because a lot of times it'll happen like when Richter comes in, for example, and what I love about this is that Richter comes in, usually has just a shell shock of a line to open with, or has a setup, Graham's confused, and then delivers the hammer, and then at that point we're all cracking up. So we stop, and then it starts to become a thing about how do we workshop this into something that, like, where does this lead? How do we get, now that we've got into this mess, how do we get out of this mess?
Fits the through line of the episode and the overall line of the show.
Speaking of surprises, Beej, you never tell us what the intro product is going to be.
That's the one thing that is pre-written for the entire show.
Yeah, you rehearsed that.
Yeah.
I will often think of a response to Graham's question of how how am I? Because the first time it was just like doing all right. And I was like, that's really boring. I should give him a weird answer every time. So I'm like, #inert. Or like a raver peeking on E, I'm grinding my teeth into powder.
Oh God. It's
Whoa.
my favorite.
I like that one a lot. So I'm probably going to continue that trend and
Yeah,
just
but
like not tell them what it is.
We did spite houses already, right?
Yes.
So I don't want to ruin things for people, but the idea about when we recorded the episode to do with spite houses, we started talking about this idea, and then it just kind of became this thing like, okay, so this guy has this property and they're building whatever, and I said, oh, like a spite house, and everyone just kind of stopped and went, wait, hang on, and so we looked it all up. And I was like, yeah, spite house. It's a place where somebody didn't want to sell, so they just ended up building a road around them, where they built the building around this person's house. Like Carl in Up, his house is essentially a spite house. He was going to move so they could continue development. And so we were like, well, spite houses, that'll be a lot of, like, we'll get a lot of mileage out of that. And the great thing is that as an idea, it's never clear to Graham and Alex what's, like, obviously you guys know in real life, but it's like, it's never clear to you what's happening until finally the hammer lands. It's like, oh, this guy lives in the spite house out on Highway 3. Yep. Oh, it all becomes clear. And then we tied in, like, Alex tied in the pipes into that, and it's like, oh, now we have a real story. We have something that's developing. Which is nice, because it's like, if you don't know where it's going, but you have the idea of where it's going, it's like, oh, we can draw more out of it. But yeah, you mostly just miss, like, us saying, hey, why don't you say this line here? And it's like, yeah, okay. And then the guy says, you know, one of us says that line there, and then somebody has a response, and we move on. It's like,
oh yeah, that's a good line, maybe, but what if we did it this way?
Yeah, yeah. What if you cursed during that line? What if you didn't curse during that line, but cursed during the next line? That kind of thing.
Oh, this curse word sounds funnier.
Yeah.
Or just like, man, sometimes we just get like the most exquisite riffs, like that entire
Jam Crone?
Yeah, the Jam Crone. Oh, that was so beautiful. The Jam Crone was a work of art.
Mm-hmm.
It was a work.
One of those things that just came together.
Yeah.
And shouldn't have.
And the only thing that had to be repeated out of that was just rereads of the same lines. None of that was written. None of that was like, I'm going to do this and you're going to do this. It was basically like, I'm going to say this line. Then somebody has that response and we laugh. And it's like, well, wait, now we have to re-record that line because it would be better if we heard it again without a laugh in there. That kind of thing.
So, I forgot what I was going to say.
Somebody's asking if we know the general plot going in. We have a through line when we start the episode where we're like,
we kind of make it up at the beginning. Like, we'll be like, okay, we want to hit landmark A, B, C, and D. It's like,
what is this episode about? Based on what we've come from.
Yeah.
But we don't do multi-episode arcs.
Yeah, so when it's like the flood of the Shaughnessy. When the Shaughnessy River floods, that was the thing where we were like, well, we need a civil emergency, I guess. Maybe we're going to cover that. Well, what are we going to cover? Well, how about, I mean, there's a river in town, so why doesn't the river flood? And we're like, and it's like, okay, and then that's it. That's how we started. Like, that's how that episode starts, is with about a minute of conversation.
Speaking of time, there's